Hi guys. So I stopped in because I really wanted to make this video. I wanted to have a conversation with you guys about the Mercury retrograde that we're about to experience. So in doing my research this morning, I found out that so for this Mercury retrograde, it's going to start like March 11th. March 10th, 11th. We're going to say March 10th, 11th because we're already in the shadows. That's the first thing. And then I wanted to also have a conversation about what you need to expect during this Mercury retrograde. So most of you who know me know that during the Mercury retrograde, I always give you guys warnings and tell you that when Mercury goes in retrograde, he rules communication and commerce. So that means that the two things that are going to be affected are going to be money matters, and the other thing is going to be communication. So what has to happen is that you just need to be more mindful of your communications under a Mercury retrograde, just so that things don't get skewed, because crazy things really do happen under Mercury retrograde. I've had really strange phone calls come through. I've had weird faxes come through. You hear from people that you haven't heard from in like forever. I think that's kind of like it. But then there are some things that go on too, because a lot of times we, in our Mercury retrogrades, have things that keep revealing themselves or keep returning for us to deal with, and then we choose not to. So each and every time that we don't, it will go forward to that next Mercury retrograde, and we're gonna have an issue. So under Mercury retrograde, those things will come to the forefront, and you will have no choice but to deal with them. Okay? So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, what do we do under Mercury retrograde? Well, actually, you don't want to do anything. You just kind of want to clean up a lot of loose ends, things that you've been working on and you haven't finished, and projects that need to just have that focus so that you can do all the things you need to do to get those projects where they need to be. That's pretty much all you need to be doing. You do not need to be out spending large amounts of money to purchase things just because that's what you want. Because under a Mercury retrograde, I'm going to tell you now, don't buy no electronic equipment. TVs, don't buy no brand new car just because you want a car. Now, the difference is if there is a Mercury retrograde, and let's just say, for instance, you've been driving this car for 19 years and all of a sudden it goes out and you have been just trying to wait till the last drop to buy a new one. Mercury might make you buy that new car, okay? And that's okay. But if you're out just car shopping under Mercury retrograde, you don't want to do that. That's not a wise thing to do. Because what will happen is that you will undoubtedly have purchased some vehicle that's going to have some underlying issues that are not going to come to fruition until further down the road. Okay? So I think it would be a good thing to, at some point in time, just kind of pay attention to what I'm saying. And if you go over that line and you do buy whatever because you want to, I just want you to be aware of how the outcome in the long term is. I'm not wishing nobody no harm. I'm just trying to educate. That's it. Okay. Now, so we talked about the things that you don't want to do. You don't want to make no major purchases unless you absolutely positively have to. And that's like an even trade. That's like if you don't repair, that cannot be repaired. It can only be replaced. Okay? So then you would do that. Because again, under a Mercury retrograde, the prefixes will apply. And we'll come back to that in a minute or two. Okay, so from my research, Taurus and Gemini are going to be the two that are going to be affected by this Mercury retrograde. Now, my Taurians, I love y'all, all right? But y'all some stubborn people. So that tells me that this Mercury retrograde is probably going to make you deal with some things that you think that you could just stand your ground on and it wasn't going to change no matter what. So maybe now is going to be the time when you're going to really actually be challenged with making that change. Okay, that's for my Taurians. Gemini, hello, how are you? You never know who you're talking to. You could be talking to either one of those personalities, okay? But for your sign, you are challenged as it is with the two personalities that you already have. So now you're going to mix in a little bit of this Taurian energy that says that you, Gemini, have a stubborn side that you're going to have to deal with as well. Okay? Now, the really peculiar thing about this situation is that the Taurus is Scorpio, myself, our alter ego. And our alter ego is pretty readable for us, but for other people they can be very difficult. Taurus is just stubborn. Taurus the bull. I mean, what do you expect? But I love them because they do make the best of friends. And I'm not gonna knock the Gemini. I have some really well-adjusted Gemini friends as well. But Gemini, again, you can be challenging and you know it. So I'm just saying. But you guys are going to be affected by this Mercury retrograde. So I just really want you to take notice and prepare yourself. Okay. So now, let's talk about how often Mercury retrogrades happen. Mercury retrogrades happen probably about 4 times a year. Okay. And it is, you know, it's almost like a quarterly affair. And when it occurs, it retrogrades and it really affects the people who were born, like myself, with Mercury in retrograde. It affects us. And it will also affect people who were born with their Mercury retrograde, their Mercury's being direct and not being retrograde, and just the overall sign itself. It's just the severity or the positivity or the level may be centered around whether or not the person was born with Mercury retrograde, like me. I was born with Mercury in retrograde, and I have a lot of ruling signs that are in Pluto. So, you know, Neptune, Pluto, really. So I can understand kind of understand my spiritual side, but that's another video for another day. And this Mercury retrograde is supposed to end around the 3rd or the 4th of June. Okay. So that's really going to be, you know, a minute. And during that Mercury retrograde, I just really want you guys to know that it's a good time for regrouping. Remember I talked earlier about the re-prefix? So we're going to go over that. Anything with a re-prefix can apply under a Mercury retrograde. So we're talking about reviews, right? Recreation, okay? The return. You can relive, you will review, re-evaluate, anything with a re-prefix. You know, even for me right now, there are documents that I had submitted that had some issues under other Mercury retrogrades that are actually being resolved now. So that just kind of gives you an idea. And a lot of times, just like I said, it keeps going. It keeps revolving, another re-prefix, until we resolve another re-prefix, the issue. And once you resolve an issue that is probably one that was created under a Mercury retrograde, and once you see where you have to make resolution, and you make resolution, then you just move forward. You just basically move forward. Today is April the 28th, and we are officially in the shadows of Mercury. And I'm sure that many of you have already begun to experience what Mercury, you know, the effects that he has in our world, you know, when he goes retrograde. And I'm not trying to get anyone to believe anything, but just to give you some evidence, be careful what you say, because a lot of people have said things, some of these political people, during Mercury retrogrades, and they are being revealed. Here we go with the re-prefix again. under this Mercury retrograde. And I think that things will continue to be revealed until they are resolved. That's just my speaking on that matter. So I'm Dr. Angel B. Hakim, and I am stopping in to share with friends and family, Facebook, Instagram, all of my social media platforms, just to say, the biggest thing that I normally say at this time is Mercury alert, because we need to be alerted to the fact that Mercury's getting ready to go in retrograde. And you guys know just as well as I do that when Mercury goes in retrograde, hey, Houston, we got a problem. So I'm wishing you all the best. I hope that you will check me out on all of my social medias. I am Angel One Medium on Instagram. I am Angel One Psychic on Twitter. I am Angel's Favored on Twitter. You can basically Google my name, Angel B. Hakim, and now Dr. Angel B. Hakim, and you can pull me up on several of my social media platforms. At the end of this video, I will have my my video person to add in that information. And also, for those of you who know me, I am also still doing my spiritual readings, and my website also will give you access to me as well. So I want to wish each and every one of you the best day today, and I'll be back soon because I'm in the process of actually, kind of bringing back the spiritual read. So we'll see what happens with that. But wonderful thing, Mercury retrograde, please, please, please pay attention to the signs. It's very, very important. Have a wonderful day, and Dr. Hakim will be back on the scene real soon, I promise.